Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lighthouse Beckons. I'm Dana,
I'm Tang.
and we're here for another video.
Yay! Let's get it.
Yep. So today we're going to share with you the verse of the day. So it's just off the King James Bible app. So it's the morning prayer. By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. That's Ecclesiastes 10:18. Am I saying that right?
It sounds like Ecclesiastics. I'm
Got
Jamaican, so it could be, yeah.
Maybe we're both wrong.
All right.
So I found that verse very interesting because recently God has just been revealing to me that you have to be like every day you need to be thinking about God, renewing your mind, and like you can't let one day pass where you're just being slothful or having idle hands. Like you have to constantly be in the Word and praying and stuff like that, or else like your house is going to decay. And he was showing me that the flesh was pretty much overcoming or being more prominent in my life, and I needed to like have a reawakening, a renewing with him.
Yeah. And I think that it might sound like, okay, so every day I have to like be in the Bible and every day. I would say not necessarily, but as long as your mind is always focused on God and what pretty much the law is, it's gonna just come natural that you're always tapped in, like always going towards how you should be living when you take on or pick up pretty much the cross. So, like, as the verse says, by much slothfulness, the building decayeth. Meaning, if every day you're just going about your business, living in the world, not tapping in, because believe it or not, the body needs God. It's like it craves it.
Yeah.
Your spirit needs it. Although the body is like a sinful place, or your spirit does inhabit it, and it still cries out. So sometime when you're going through certain things, or you just feel weird as like, how come I feel like this? Sometimes it's just your spirit crying out to tap into the Spirit of God.
Yeah, always, always. Just what came in my head right now. I can't think of the specific verse, but just reading all of Romans was really good. I found it brought so much like fruit into my mind and just, oh man. So I'm just encouraging like anybody needing to read a chapter, like a book, read Romans. And I was going to combat what you were saying, but then when you said much slothfulness, like everything you were saying was right, because that's the thing in my life. There was much slothfulness just because I got busy with the kids, and like I was in a new season, but I wasn't fully tapping in to God and having my mind on him as I should have been, to like not lose sight.
And also, on somebody coming new into the faith, remember, you're going to try to reverse a lifetime of quote unquote slothfulness, where you have to try to break old habits, get into a new godly, per se, like routine to follow Christ. Because obviously, like, we are so imperfect in everything that's been downloaded in our mind through school, through media, just through everything. All those then have to just be reversed to just pick up this newness.
Yeah.
And obviously, every day it's going to be a battle, because it's always a battle between the spirit and the flesh. It's like, which one are you going to put first? It's like, yes, you might slip, but just know that you have to keep pushing to just be as close to perfection. It's very hard. Be as close to perfection as possible. But the thing is to not give up, and you can't do it alone. That's why it's good to tap into the Bible, tap into the church, tap into whoever is around you that's living the life of Christ, because you can't do it alone. Because to reverse everything that you've learned, everything that the public will just even friends have placed on you,
Yeah.
placed in your heart, it's going to be hard to, let's say, reboot
Yeah.
or to just clear your flash drive and to start downloading more fruitful works and fruitful things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
There was a verse, but I lost it. Oh, so this verse that what you were talking about made me think of was, and this is another thing that God has been doing with me the last like week. Every time a thought comes into my head that is not godly, as soon as it pops up into my head, I say to myself, take captive every thought and give it to God. So like a thought, if you've ever had a thought that come up in your head and you're like, man, that doesn't feel like me, or that's not a godly thought, you take it right there, just rebuke that thought and just turn your mind towards Christ.
Yeah, because sometimes you really can't help what pops up in your mind. Because sometimes the human brain is just always thinking, and sometimes you'll just get this thought of like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly.
The minute you figure it out, like where it's coming from, it's not of you and it's not necessarily productive. You don't have to give it fruit. You don't have to water it. You don't have to plant it to give it seed. Like you don't have to say anything to entertain the idea and whatever. Just minute it pops up in your head, you just cut it right off.
Yeah, and I think it's important to do it in your mind too,
Yeah.
because if you do nothing, sometimes like it'll eventually catch you.
Yeah. And I like the thing, I forgot what you were watching, saying like if you keep speaking good to a fruit, what was it?
Oh, it was
Was
just
that strawberry?
yeah.
They were trying out.
Yeah, they had one that they labeled love and one that they labeled hate. So it's the impact of our words coming out of our mouth.
One day we should definitely try that.
I think so too.
Yeah, but you know,
It's just a visual of the impact of our words. They're so important.
Yep. And the tongue could be such a raging fire, which, as you were saying the other day, when the barbecue caught fire, when you were just looking at it and see how the
I was
fire.
watching the fire drip, and then God brought to my mind the verse of like your tongue is a fire, and I was sitting there watching this fire drip like water, but it was like sticking to everything and then gaining more fire, more fire, more fire. And I was like, wow. And then God put me in a position where my tongue was about to do that, and then he connected the two in my mind and showed me this is where you have to shut it down. Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, so I was just in the room putting little man to sleep, and somebody was just telling me recently about somebody who has cancer, and they've been told that if they do radiation, they have about a year, and if they don't, they have about 3 months. And it made me think to myself, because I started to think about faith and prayer, and I know that when you pray, God will answer. I know that like a sentence like that means nothing. But then I really began to think, and it's almost like God made me think to myself, think about it personally. If you had that in your life, because it's us looking at somebody else's life and saying, oh, you need to pray, or oh, you need to have faith. But think about if that was on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have to have the faith to just put everything that God is saying to us into not just practice, but like into being. You know what I mean? Like take everything that He promises us. So I thought of a verse after thinking of that and thinking about the faith that I would need to have to like overcome that, and it was James 2:17. Even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. Yeah, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God, that thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? So I'm just going to stop there. So that was James 2:17 to about 20. So it just made me think, it's like God was showing me just that there's times where your faith has to be shown by work. So it's like you can't just have one or the other. Because you can't just say I have faith.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need to show, and it doesn't matter how long you have to wait. You know what I mean? Like you have to just
And
believe in God.
the best part that shows your faith is when you get placed under some type of trial, some kind of tribulation, that when you completely believe and have faith that God promises and his words are true and you overcome, then that's showing your works.
So yeah, that was pretty much everything, and it was just good to get back and just share the verse of the day, and I just hope everybody's day is blessed.
Yep. And keep the faith.
Yeah, keep renewing.
Yep. Until next time.
God bless.